Welcome to Cooking Backstage, where we cook a meal with someone special from the music industry every week. My name is Mark Watson. I've been working in the music industry for over 20 years. I love chatting about the business, I love chatting with people in the business, and I love to cook. Put those two things together and you've got Cooking Backstage. My hope is each week we learn a new dish, meet someone from the music industry, and learn about their career. Now, all of us in the industry know you're not supposed to start with an apology. So let me just say I'm aware that my camera work and editing is a little rough still. I am working at it and it will get better eventually. Today we're cooking shrimp scampi because it's fun to say scampi. And I have to credit my good buddy Rochester Mike for showing me this dish, and now I'm passing it on to you. Our special guest today is Darcy Patrick from St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. He's a musician, he's a technician, he's an educator, and he manages a music store, and now he's an author. But most importantly, I'm lucky to call this guy my friend. And he's doing me a solid here by being on the first episode while I stumble through everything. So thank you, Darcy, again for doing this. Darcy started his career as a musician. We were actually in a band together. And he graduated the music program from Mohawk College in Hamilton. He worked for Osnick's Music, which later became Long McQuaid, which is Canada's largest music retailer. Darcy became the manager at Long McQuaid. He's also the go-to guy in Niagara to get your guitar set up. Now, even though I've known Darcy his entire life, I had no idea he was dealing with depression. And in 2015, that all came to a head for Darcy. Thank goodness he made a call for help, and he's doing very well. He's written 3 books about his journey through depression, with a 4th on the way. Links to his books and everything we're talking about today, including the recipes, will be in the descriptions below. So, I think that's it. Enjoy! All right, here we are in the backyard, ready to cook some shrimp scampi with Darcy Patrick. You all set?
Let's scampi it up.
Let's do it. So let's go over the ingredients. First, our pasta, of course, the minced garlic.
Did you mince that garlic yourself?
Of course I did. Look at how nicely it's minced. No, that was Costco. A cup of onions, a cup of red pepper, some broccoli. I don't know, that's probably 2 cups of broccoli. Half a cup of white wine, some fresh parsley, butter, your shrimp, of course, and then some lemon juice, water, olive oil, some chili flakes. And of course, as always, you've got your salt and pepper.
And I'm supposed to know what I'm going to be doing with this.
I will tell you what to do.
Awesome.
It is all good. Okay, dude, our water's boiling, so we can get that ready with pasta. You want to season the water first, and you want to use some kosher salt.
How much kosher salt, and why are we using kosher salt?
Probably a good healthy tablespoon.
Okay.
And then watch what it does to your water, and I'll explain why we use it. It boils up nicely.
Nice.
Okay, so the reason we do that, as the pasta cooks, it absorbs that salty water, and your pasta tastes way better. So, very important if you want good tasting pasta. All right.
Excellent.
Okay, now let's get those onions on the grill.
Olive oil?
Yep. Okay, and then we're going to put butter. Now the reason you do that is because butter has a low burning point.
So am I just dumping the butter?
Not that whole thing, no. Just like, say a tablespoon.
Like, how much?
That's probably 3 tablespoons, but okay.
Okay, and I'm putting it right in there with
right in there with the olive oil. And spread that around a little bit. Okay, and let's get your onions in there right away.
You'd think I know what I'm doing. I feel like I'm at Benihana. It's that place in Florida where they cook on the table in front of you.
Oh.
I think that's what it's called anyways.
Okay, so those are softening up. Let's go ahead and add our minced garlic.
Right to the onion?
Yep. Okay, again, mix that up. And we're going to get our shrimp seasoned first. A little dried out and seasoned. Have you ever cooked shrimp?
Microwave doesn't count.
You cooked shrimp in a microwave?
Yes.
What kind of shrimp?
Frozen.
Oh. Okay, and the key with shrimp is not to overcook it. It's going to turn orange. That's when you know it's done, but you do not want to overcook it because it gets super chewy. Like probably the stuff you cook in the microwave, right?
Yes. Like you said, my wife is normally the cook, not me.
All right, so you want to season that shrimp, a little salt and pepper all over everything. Okay, you can see how they're already turning a little bit orange on the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay, and just while that's cooking for a second, let's go check our pasta.
Should I throw it against the wall or should I eat it? Not ready yet.
No. What are you mostly doing these days?
These days I'm focusing on mental health and teaching the tools that I've learned over the last 7 years since I started therapy. All the things that I write about in my 3 books, soon to be 4, for different mental health and addiction agencies in Southern Ontario is my main focus. I still play music, but now I find I play it more for myself, for personal enjoyment, rather than playing it for the public. Yeah, I think that whenever we take something that we started off loving and turning it into a source of income, I think that there's a lot of judgment that starts being placed on you when you don't have gigs, when you're not making money. You start to self-hate and you start to judge yourself in areas that you really don't need to. And it's kind of a shame when you take something that you loved so much in the beginning and turn it into a source of stress.
So you started off as a bass player. How did you get into that? How did that come about?
I actually started playing bass when I was a little kid, playing in a band with you. We were both guitar players and we needed a bass player, so I decided that I was going to be the bass player. I'd be the Paul McCartney of the band and start...
The greatest Beatle ever?
Yeah, next to George Harrison. And from there, you know, I fell in love with bass guitar. I fell in love with music, and it led to a 28-year career of being a professional musician and going to college and, you know, living the dream.
And then later on in high school, you ended up working for the Polka King at Walter Osnick's Music.
Yeah, so I always loved taking apart my basses and finding out how they actually worked. So when I was in high school, I had the opportunity to do a co-op at Osnick's Music and learn how to take apart basses, learn how to be a guitar tech, bass tech, amp tech, and it translated into a full-time job in the future.
Cool. Was Walter around quite a bit, the Polka King?
I saw Walter quite a bit. He didn't run the store. His son actually ran the store, but I actually had a lot of interaction with Walter and enjoyed a lot of time with him.
And was there polka playing all the time in the store?
No, there wasn't polka playing all the time in the store, thank God.
So back to what you were saying about taking apart instruments, and you became one of the guy in St. Catharines that everyone would come to fix their instruments. And hilarious story about a band we cannot say, but an extremely famous band, and then coming in to get you to make some repairs on their bass player's bass. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so he came in and he brought all of his bass player's basses into the store because his bass player had a bad habit of getting so drunk before the gig even started that once they started to play, he would forget to turn on his bass. So the band would be rocking out and he'd be jumping up and down and playing, but his bass actually was never amplified. So sometimes he'd go through 1 or even 2 songs before realizing that he wasn't even turned on. So the guitar player brought in all 8 of his basses that they toured with and had me unhook all the electronics in every one of his basses, so when you plugged it in, the bass was automatically on, so there was no way that he wouldn't be actually turned on when he was playing.
So he'd sit there and jump around for 2 songs, not even realizing his bass was on.
Yeah.
Now just before you put the steamer cover on, grab some of that pasta water I had to take out.
Oh!
And get your steamer cover, you got it ready there?
Got it ready.
Yeah, so just pour that on and then... Perfect. Cover it up. And you've seen a lot of trends come and go. You've been working in retail for...
Probably about just over 20 years. One of the craziest trends that came was when SARS Fest happened here in Toronto. All of a sudden, because of AC/DC at that concert, all of a sudden it was impossible to keep any form of SG in the store.
And that's the guitar that Angus
Young plays, yeah. SG sales skyrocketed because of Stars Fest. It was one of the most amazing trends that I've ever seen.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? And now, what's the big trend you're seeing?
The big trend is really, geared towards synth-based and DJ-style type of music, where it's impossible for us to keep any type of controller in the store.
So lots of DJs.
Lots of DJs.
A huge event, obviously, in your life was 2013. Depression came to a head for you. One of the huge things is that no one knew. I mean, I've known you all your life. I had no clue. Your wife had no clue. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so when people struggle with mental health issues, depression, anxiety, 90% of the time they're the only ones that really know it because of the stigma that's attached to it. So I had hid my depression, my anxiety for over 38 years before I made that call for help. Because of the stigma being so strong, I felt that I didn't need to tell people about it, that I could cope with it, and my norm became a depressed state.
And you always say that you were acting all the time.
Yeah, people who are struggling don't want to be a burden on anybody in their lives, right? They don't want to be a burden on their family, on their friends. So while they're drowning deep inside, suffering and struggling with their depression, they're acting, putting on a front, and that also becomes normal as well, where your normal self really isn't there at all. And it takes some time to come to the realization that you have to stop that acting. While I was working, while I was being a father, I was acting. On the outside, I was happy-go-lucky Darcy, but on the inside, I was drowning.
We're going to get the pasta on the griddle as well. A little bit of butter, olive oil again. Now, again, we're cooking this outside, but you can, of course, do this on a frying pan inside. That's good.
Nothing like butter.
Okay, and then just dump your pasta right on that and mix it up. Perfect. With some tongs right there on the barbecue. Mix that all up. Put some butter on it. And now we're going to add the rest of the white wine.
I'm dosing it?
Yep, the rest of it. Right. Stir that up. You're not working because of COVID, like a lot of us.
Yeah.
What are you doing with most of your time now?
I was actually able to finish my 4th book, which really wasn't going to be ready till the end of 2020, and I ended up, it's being out to edit right now, so now I'm looking at it being released at the end of September. So this book is going to be called The Big Let Go. Letting go of control is taking control.
Okay, and you're going to mix everything together now?
All right.
Okay, man, we're good. Let's plate this thing.
All right.
Look at that. Some nice color in there. The smell is unbelievable, eh?
It is fantastic.
There, get some nice grilled shrimp on there. Some broccoli. Nice. And there we have it, folks. What do we got there, Darcy?
We got some shrimp scampi.
Let's see it. Oh, there's a shaker on the top.
I prefer to go freestyle.